Proportions. Well, proportions may be the most used mathematical concept in real life. You don't always see them, but they are used pretty much everywhere, from taxes to everything in a grocery store. If you buy, 2 or 3 of something, it's proportions to calculate the total cost. Proportions are very useful and very popular. So our objective for this video lecture, we want to solve proportions and word problems that can be written as proportions. Okay, let's start off first by defining what a ratio is. A ratio is a comparison of two numbers by division. And ratios are commonly written as a fraction. Let's take a look at 2 examples here. Excuse me. Given a group of 60 women and 30 men, what is the ratio of women to men? Okay, well, 60 women to 30 men. There you go. The ratio written as a fraction. I often will include the labels to keep myself straight. We'll see why that's important in a few minutes. This, of course, can be simplified because both 60 and 30 have a common factor of 30. And so we can say there are 2 women for every 1 man. Okay, so there's your ratio of women to men is 2 to 1. Okay, here's an example in which we have different units. In this case, we have ounces and we have dollars. A 12-ounce Coke costs 75 cents. And so we can write this one, a 12-ounce Coke. That's a pretty sloppy 12. Let's try that again. A 12-ounce Coke. And it is equal to, it costs 75 cents or 3/4 of a dollar. So again, there's my ratio. A 12-ounce Coke is 75 cents. Okay, so now we know what a ratio is. We can talk about proportions. All right, a proportion is an equation that shows that 2 fractions or 2 ratios are equal. So if I have 2 ratios, 2 fractions that are equivalent, they form a proportion. And here's why that matters. And I put this in a box because this is the key piece. If you want, I'll put some arrows next to it. This is what we're going to make use of, and it's made use of often. If 2 fractions, if 2 ratios are equal, in other words, you have a proportion, because that's the definition, the cross products are equal. Okay, and that can be used to solve problems. So let's just take a look at the fact that this is true. Okay, I'm going to write, we know that 1/3 is the same as 4/12. These 2 fractions are equal. 1/3 of a circle is the same as 4/12 of the same circle. 1 times 4, 3 times 4, or 4 divided by 4, 12 divided by 4. You can say those 2 fractions are equivalent. So because these 2 fractions, these 2 ratios are equivalent, they form a proportion and their cross products are equal. What are their cross products? Well, go across this way. This side is 4 times 3. Go across this way. This side is 1 times 12. Those are their cross products. And 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 12 is 12. And you can see that when 2 ratios or 2 fractions are equivalent, their cross products are equivalent. We're going to make use of that to solve problems. Okay, so let's do that. Proportions are very useful whenever you have a known relationship between 2 numbers. You can then use the known ratio or fraction to solve for an unknown using proportions and cross products. Okay, very popular. Second, let me get my paper together. Okay, if I average 60 miles per hour, example 1, how long will it take me to drive 150 miles? Okay, well, I have a known relationship, and I will indicate that with the word known. I can do 60 miles in 1 hour. So obviously I'm probably in a car. Okay, I'm averaging 60 miles in an hour. That is a known relationship. That is a ratio. Okay, given that's the case, how long will it take me, X hours, to drive 150 miles? Okay, so I know something here that it takes me 1 hour to drive 60 miles, and I want to know how many hours will it take me to drive 150 miles. And I can do that because this is a relationship, oops, and this is the unknown. Okay, I have a known relationship and an unknown relationship. I can set up a proportion, and once I've done that, cross products to the rescue. 150 times 1 on the left in this case, 60 times X on the right, and I know that this is 150. I'm doing an extra step here. This is 60 times X, and now I can solve for X by dividing both sides by 60. Divide by 60, divide by 60. That gives me the X by itself, and 150 divided by 60 is 2.5 hours. So how long will it take me? The answer is it'll take me 2.5 hours to drive 150 miles. Proportions used to solve a problem that involves relationships. Okay, let's take a look at 2 more examples. Whoops, I dropped that on the floor. That's all right. Okay, let's get my paper straightened out, I think. Okay, I can read 20 pages in 30 minutes. How many pages will I be able to read in 2 hours? I picked this problem on purpose, and you'll see in just a minute why I did this. Okay, so I have a known relationship. Okay, I know I can read 20 pages in 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes, I can read 20 pages. Okay, that's the same as how many pages, so that pages is my numerator, so I'll put X pages up here because I don't know, will I be able to read in 2 hours? Okay, so there is the proportion, but you need to be careful. Notice in my numerator, my units are the same. Notice in my denominator, my units are not the same. In order for a proportion to work, your units have to be the same. We can't have minutes in one place and hours in the other because those don't play together. You can't add them, subtract them. You can't add minutes to hours. You need to convert them to the same units. I'm going to choose to change my hours to minutes, and I'm going to say this is 120 minutes. Okay, so X pages, 2 hours is 120 minutes. Of course, there's another proportion. 1 hour is 60 minutes, so 2 hours is 120 minutes. Now I have the same units. You could change this to 0.5 hours if you want to. It doesn't matter as long as you have the same units. You have two, whoops, and again, I keep forgetting that. This is the unknown. Now I have 2 fractions, 2 ratios that are equivalent. Cross products, 30 times X. And this one is 20 times 120. Okay, I need to simplify that right side. 20 times 120 is 2,400. Now I can solve for X, divide both sides by 30. 30 divided by 30 is 1. And X is equal to 80 pages. There you go. Okay, so if I can read 20 pages in 30 minutes, I can read 80 pages in 2 hours, which is the same as I can read 80 pages in 120 minutes. Proportions. Okay, one more example to take a look at unit rate. Come up here a little bit. Let's make sure I got you on my screen. Okay, a 16-ounce can of pineapple sells for $3.69. What is the unit price? Okay, unit means one. Okay, when I say what is the unit price? What is the unit weight? I want to know the price, the weight, or whatever for one of whatever we're talking about. In this case, the unit price is the price for 1 unit, and the unit is an ounce. Was 1 ounce cost? Okay, well, my known ratio. Okay, I've got a 16-ounce can, and it costs $3.69. My unknown ratio, I didn't forget this time. Okay, this is known. 16 ounces cost $3.69. Note the denominator is in dollars. Unknown. What is the price for 1? Okay, I want to have 1, and I don't know the price. So I would have 1 ounce. I don't know the price. Now notice again, both numerators are in ounces. Both denominators are in dollars. So I have 2 ratios, 2 fractions that are equivalent. I can use cross products. 1 times 369 is $3.69, $3.69. 16 times x is 16x. Divide both sides by 16 to get x by itself, to get one of them. That's a 1. And x is equal to, in this case, 360. I'm going to use a calculator for that. I think you can see my calculator, maybe. I've got a little bit of a glare. Let's see if I can get it over here. I need my calculator. 369 divided by 16. Looks like I'm going to be 23 cents. Because we're talking about dollars and cents here, I don't want to go past the second decimal place. So it looks like this is going to be $23 cents. And of course, the other way to write this is 23 cents. Okay, so if 16 ounces were $3.69, that means that 1 ounce is 23 cents. Okay, so there you have it. Excuse me. Proportions and the value of their cross products. Brief reminders, make sure your units are equivalent. Make sure you're always dealing with the same units. And once you've set up your known and your unknown ratios, it's cross products to the rescue.